team.
Yeah, I think in 48 hours we developed even more grit and mental toughness than we've had before, and I think that's one of the stronger qualities of this group, to be able to persevere, stay the course, exhibit mental stability throughout the course of a long game when things are going up and down, and then you have to have guys that rise to the occasion. We have several of the guys that become different in those clutch moments. And even though we made some mistakes at the end of regulation, I think the guys in some twisted way really enjoy these kind of games and pushing it to overtime, even though the head coach, it drives him crazy.
Kind of like you said last night when you were thinking about calling for the timeout, were you trying to get them to foul Joel at the end of regulation, the play where Jimmy punched it away?
No, I wasn't. I was trying to get a better defensive coverage on that. And I wouldn't have to tell Myers to do that if he would have gotten that ball above his waist. His nickname is the Hammer for a reason. But he got position where he can be very dangerous, and then he just got swarmed. And Gorn was down there, and Jimmy came out of nowhere. Are you talking about the post-up? No, the
ball got squirted out to Joel, and the play where he ended up punching it away, and Tyler had the pull at the end of regulation.
Actually, that one, no. There was another one where Bam got it on the baseline right in front of the bench, and there was about 6 seconds left on the clock, and we were totally flattened out on everything during the course of that possession. And again, I'm glad I didn't, because Bam took it as hard as he's ever taken it on the baseline, and somehow against arguably one of the best defensive centers in the league, got it up and over in the basket. That's one of the toughest baskets Bam has scored in his career.
And another thing you've talked at length is Tyler's confidence and the way he hits shots, but to pull up there in that frenetic sequence there after.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes he drives me crazy, and then he makes plays like that. But the fearlessness, I love. I absolutely do. And I've seen it probably enough that, to your point, Tim, like I actually was not even thinking about a timeout. I was thinking we're probably going to get something decent with him right there, and at least with the defense kind of backpedaling. But he's one of those guys that we have on our team that rise to the occasion and become somebody different, and special in those moments.
How much of it is a skill with Jimmy just being able to impact the game even when he's not shooting the ball well?
I can't say that enough. This quality that I'm talking about, this mental stability that we have, I think a large part of that can be credited to Jimmy. And then obviously Bam is developing that at a super high level. But Jimmy can stay the course regardless of what's happening during the course of the game. Shots don't affect him, whether the ball's going in or not. Doesn't affect his energy, doesn't affect his leadership. He'll find different ways to impact it. If it means drawing a foul, if it means getting a steal, a deflection, a rebound, setting a screen for somebody else. He's like a 5-tool baseball player, but for basketball. He does everything across the board to help you win, and so many of those things don't go noticed in a box score. How do you put a weight on competitive mental stability? He's got to be in the top percentile of this league. Okay.
Just what you're seeing out of that, the battles Bam is having with Embiid so far this season, what he's learning, and again, like you said, the fearlessness. I mean, he got to him a couple times, and then that big one at the end where he challenges him when he has the 5th foul.
Yeah, I think ultimately, what you want out of this profession is you want great competition to bring something more out of you, something that you don't necessarily know that you have. Bam is a phenomenal competitor, and his game is growing, but his greatest strength is he competes, and he wants to take on different challenges, and Embiid's one of the best in the business. I mean, come on, he was doing some remarkable things I think probably everybody in the arena, when he went to that step back three, thought it had a chance. I mean, that you're talking about a 7-foot center doing something that James Harden does, and it looked so fluid and natural for him. And then he can play bully ball in the paint as well. So Bam likes those. He respects the competition, and he wants to face it and see what happens.
Eric, with Jimmy, you talked about all the things he does with the intangibles, and he's obviously having a great season. But not to be too much of a buzzkill here, but he's shooting career lows from all over the court. My question is
total buzzkill.
It really is. But my question is any of it have to do with all the stuff that you talk about and the load that he's shouldering in terms of leadership and trying to be a playmaker and all that, or is it just some shots not going in?
Well, we've played. It's early. It'll level out, but it's all about efficiency. So I don't even look at that field goal percentage number. If you factor in free throw attempts and free throws, his percentage, other than tonight, he's one of the most efficient offensive basketball players in the league. Points per touch and things of that nature. He's extremely efficient, and you don't have to know anything about analytics or anything. You just watch him play. It's a very coherent, stable, playoff-ready game. And you know that he darn well has the respect of the opponents that we play against, particularly when you get down the stretch.
Clarity on lane violation?
No, they
on the
couldn't
review?
change it based on whether he left early or not. That's the first trigger that I think should have been recognized. But we didn't block him out either. So shame on us. I mean, we could have been bailed out by a technicality, which by the letter of the law should have been called. I believe he did go early, but we have to do our job. And also, Jay Rich broke free. I'm getting into a buzzkill myself. All right.